Adrien Cortez had always believed that no one would ever uncover the shadows of his secrets. For years, he moved through the world like a man untouchable, wrapped in wealth, charm, and an iron sense of control. Dressed in his finest tailored suit, every detail immaculate, he strolled through the golden-lit lobby of the city's most prestigious five-star hotel. His hand rested casually on the waist of the woman beside him, a striking beauty with flawless skin and gleaming jewelry, a woman who was not his wife. The morning sun poured through the glass ceiling above, spilling over polished marble floors that gleamed like water, while chandeliers scattered light across the hall like diamonds suspended in air. Every step Adrien took exuded confidence, a performance rehearsed for years. He smirked at the whispers of admiration, the subtle glances of strangers. For so long, he had lived under the illusion that his money and reputation could shield him from consequences. But the illusion cracked in a single heartbeat. As he reached into his pocket, pulling out his platinum card to hand to the receptionist with the nonchalance of a man used to being obeyed, his eyes flickered across the room. And then time stopped. His breath caught, his hand trembled, and his chest tightened with a sharp, unfamiliar panic. For there she was, Celeste, his wife. Not the wife he remembered, silent. Patient, eyes filled with hurt, she never spoke aloud, but someone transformed. She entered the lobby with unshakable poise, dressed in a cream-colored suit that radiated authority and grace. Her steps echoed across the marble like deliberate thunder, her presence commanding the space in a way that made chandeliers seem dim in comparison. She was not the heartbroken woman he had abandoned. She was the new owner of the empire he believed he still ruled. Adrien's world cracked. Not with a dramatic explosion, but with the quiet, merciless sound of glass shattering inside him. The receptionist froze, glancing nervously between Adrien and Celeste, caught in the middle of a storm that had not yet broken. The woman on Adrien's arm, Serena, young, dazzling, hungry for wealth but shallow as champagne bubbles, tightened her hold on him, oblivious to the shift in the air. She leaned closer, whispering flirtatiously, still believing they were the center of attention. Adrien could no longer hear her. The blood roared in his ears. Around him, the staff whispered. The guests turned their heads, curiosity rippling through the elegant hall. Celeste's gaze found him. No tears, no rage. Just a calm, piercing certainty that stripped him bare. Adrien's lips parted, searching for words, but nothing came. What no one in that lobby knew except Celeste was that this story had begun long before that moment. Once upon a time, Adrien Cortez had been the kind of man who lit up a room, ambitious, protective, endlessly romantic. He had met Celeste in the days when he had nothing but dreams in his pocket and fire in his heart. She had been radiant in her quiet strength, steady in her belief in him when others laughed at his ambition. They were inseparable, partners in both love and vision. Together they built a company, brick by brick, fueled by late nights, shared sacrifices, whispered promises of forever. They carved out a home, a family of dreams that seemed unbreakable. To anyone who looked, they were the epitome of devotion, a power couple destined for greatness. But with success came hunger. With recognition came arrogance. Adrien, intoxicated by the applause of the world, began to crave more. Meetings stretched into the night, business trips blurred into excuses, whispered phone calls into lies. At first, Celeste told herself it was the cost of ambition. She waited for him with coffee in hand, stayed awake until the early hours for him to return, clung to hope that he was still the man she once knew. But hope turned into ache. The warmth of his touch grew colder, his laughter distant, his heart unreachable. And then came Serena, a younger woman, striking, bold, and enamored with the glow of Adrien's wealth. She was not in love with him, not really. She loved the way people stared when she entered a room on his arm, loved the gifts, the luxury, the thrill of being desired by a man of power. To Adrien, she was excitement, a glittering distraction from the stability of home. To Celeste, she was proof of betrayal she had already felt deep in her bones. Celeste noticed everything. The anniversaries forgotten, the faint lipstick stains on his shirts, the hotel bills that never added up. She carried the weight of betrayal in silence, wearing her smile like armor. People saw her as the perfect wife of a successful man, but behind her composure she was breaking piece by piece. Yet she never let Adrien see the full depth of her pain. He thought she was too fragile to survive without him. He thought she would endure whatever he gave her, because that was what wives did. He thought wrong. Because Celeste was stronger than he ever imagined. Instead of drowning in despair, she quietly redirected her energy. She poured herself into a project of her own, an investment Adrien dismissed as insignificant. Guided by her intelligence, resilience, and an iron will forged from heartbreak, she built something in secret. Every wound he inflicted became a stitch in the tapestry of her new destiny. And while Adrien spiraled deeper into indulgence, Celeste rose brick by brick, deal by deal, until the day came when she no longer stood in his shadow. And now here she was, walking into the hotel lobby not as the betrayed wife, but as the woman who had risen above him. Adrien's smirk evaporated. His chest constricted as Celeste's heels clicked closer, each step echoing like a judgment. Serena's playful whispers faltered when she noticed the icy silence, the shifting stares, the palpable electricity in the air. She looked up, confused, her eyes darting between Adrien and Celeste. Then the truth hit her. And though she pressed closer to Adrien, her confidence wavered in the presence of a woman whose dignity made her look small. Celeste stopped a few feet away, her gaze unwavering. She didn't need to raise her voice, didn't need to expose him in fury. Her very presence was enough. Adrien felt naked, stripped of all the illusions he had wrapped himself in. The empire he believed was his suddenly no longer belonged to him. The woman he had dismissed now held the keys, not just to the hotel, but to his undoing. Adrien wanted to speak, to explain, to beg, but in her eyes he saw every broken promise, every lie, every selfish choice. And he knew words would be meaningless. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. The staff looked at Celeste with admiration. Serena shifted, her beauty paling in the shadow of Celeste's grace. Guests leaned in, whispering. Adrien's throat tightened as Celeste's eyes bore into his, not with anger, but with a calm that cut deeper. She wasn't here to humiliate him. She didn't need to. She had already won, not by revenge, but by triumph. Adrien saw it with brutal clarity. He had traded gold for glitter, substance for shadows, love for lust. The woman before him wasn't fragile, wasn't dependent. She was untouchable, and then Celeste turned away. She didn't scream, didn't weep, didn't linger. She turned with quiet dignity, not to flee, but to show him he no longer had power over her life. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. That silence crushed Adrien more than any accusation ever could. The days that followed were torment. Adrien wandered through the vast emptiness of his home, haunted by memories he once ignored. The morning Celeste made him coffee, her smile tired but hopeful. The nights she stayed up waiting, believing in his dreams more than he did himself. The warmth of her presence, the loyalty he had dismissed, now gone. He replayed them in his mind, realizing too late that success meant nothing without the love that anchored it. Celeste, meanwhile, flourished. Under her leadership, the hotel transformed. No longer just a place of wealth and indulgence, it became a beacon of resilience, a sanctuary for those starting over. Her story spread quietly among guests and staff, the tale of a woman betrayed yet unbroken, who rose to rebuild not only her life, but an empire. She didn't just own the hotel, she embodied it. Grand, graceful, unshakable. Adrien would see her sometimes in magazines, on news features, her name spoken with respect. Always poised, always radiant, untouchable in her strength. And each time, regret cut deeper. He had lost her not because she wasn't enough, but because he had been too blind to see she was everything. Celeste never sought revenge. She didn't need it. Her victory was her transformation. The world no longer saw her as a wife left behind, but as a woman reborn. She chose dignity over bitterness, strength over despair, and in doing so, she inspired more than just whispers in hotel lobbies. She inspired anyone who had ever been broken to rise stronger. Adrien, meanwhile, faded into the background of the empire he once believed he owned. His wealth could buy him distractions, but not redemption. His charm could win him glances, but not loyalty. He lived with the knowledge that the greatest treasure he ever had was not his money, not his hotels, not his mistresses, but Celeste. And he had thrown it away. As the sunlight streamed through the tall windows of her hotel, Celeste stood as living proof that betrayal does not define you. What defines you is how you rise from it. She no longer needed Adrien's love nor his apology. She had her own power now, her own peace, and the world saw her not as the woman who was left behind, but as the woman who chose herself. And in the quiet corners of his hollow nights, Adrien Cortez finally understood. He had lost more than a wife. He had lost the chance to stand beside a legend. "Daddy gave me this," he whispered. "I know, sweetheart," she replied, tucking the photo away. Whispers swirled around her. "She's just a single mom scraping by. No way she's powerful. It's all an act." Then the captain's voice came again, sharper this time. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just received news. The Davenport Group is under international investigation." The cabin erupted. Eyes snapped to Charles. His face drained. His hands trembled as he grabbed for his phone. Emma reached into her bag, pulling out a folder. Credentials gleamed under the cabin lights. International Aviation Security Advisor. "Lead investigator, Global Financial Oversight." Charles's voice cracked. You're the one in charge." Emma gave the slightest nod. "Yes, and you just revealed your true character to me." The silence was suffocating. Olivia's phone buzzed. Her face paled. The hedge fund man shrank back. The woman with diamond earrings clutched her bag. Charles tried again, desperate. "No one respects you. It's only your power they want. A cold woman like you will never know love." Emma said nothing. Her silver band glinted faintly as her hand rested on her son's shoulder. The cockpit door opened. The captain stepped out, removing his cap. His eyes found Emma, soft with memory. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice firm yet full of warmth, "I am not just your captain. I am the man who has waited 10 years for her." Gasps rippled. The captain took Emma's hand. "Thank you for coming back," he said quietly. "Our son will be proud." Emma's boy looked up, smiling, clutching his teddy bear. Charles collapsed into his seat, gray with defeat, as his empire crumbled with every news alert pinging through the cabin. Olivia stared at her phone, watching Davenport's empire fall. Whispers no longer mocked Emma. They circled Charles, the man revealed by his cruelty. Emma lifted her son into her arms. The cabin broke into applause, hesitant at first, then swelling until it filled the air. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Her silence had already spoken. The plane descended toward the city lights, steady and sure. Emma held her son close, her husband's hand resting gently on her shoulder. And for everyone who had ever been judged, ever been told they didn't belong, ever been looked down upon as less, her story was theirs too. Strength in silence, grace in endurance, truth that could not be denied.